Hey everyone's like, welcome back. So I'm sure everyone's heard by now about the new Korg Volca FM. But just in case you haven't, I'll just sort of explain a little bit. So the Korg Volca series is a group of very small, very affordable synthesizers developed by Korg. They've been around for like 15 years, I want to say. But anyway, they're a very budget-friendly option, and they cover a lot of different realms of synthesis, from analog, digital, FM obviously, drum synthesis, that sort of modular West Coast synthesis. Generally, I think they're a pretty good way to get into different kinds of synthesis and just hardware music making in general. And as far as I know, this is the first time they've released a sequel to one of their Volcas, other than just like firmware updates. I think this is the first time they've actually released a sequel. So I thought today I'd just sit down and give you my thoughts on the Korg Volca FM2. So obviously, Korg Volca FM synthesis. I don't have the new one, obviously, and I also didn't have the old one. So take everything I say in this video with a very small grain of salt. But I just thought I would share my thoughts. So I split everything into three categories: MIDI, user interface, and the sound. And I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons in each category. So let's start with MIDI. My opinions here are generally negative. So firstly, they've added velocity sensitivity to the synth, which is good, especially for FM, but the fact that that seems to be a pretty major selling point indicates that they're a bit behind on this one. You can use MIDI sysx to import a lot of patches, including it's compatible with DX7 patches, which is really cool. It means you can basically have a portable DX7 to a certain extent. However, they don't have sysx export through MIDI, which is interesting because they went to all the trouble of completely changing the MIDI with the TRS jacks and adding an output, but you don't have sysx export, and instead they have a weird audio file export with the sync jacks. I don't really understand that part, but still, it seems weird that they would add a MIDI output and not have sysx export. And then, as I mentioned, they switched to TRS jacks, and it doesn't come with a dongle, which just seems like inconvenient. Like, obviously that would just raise the price, but also, what was the point of switching to mini jacks? Like, if it allowed them to make use of sysx export and things like that with the output, then fair enough. But considering how little they made use of the new output, it seems like it was a waste. Despite adding velocity, they still don't have sustain pedal, mod wheel, or aftertouch working, as far as I can tell from all the demos. Yeah, it seems like they're a little bit behind on all the MIDI stuff, but I feel like that's probably one of the biggest things that they can fix in firmware updates, other than obviously choosing to use TRS jacks. All the other things, hopefully, they can just fix with firmware. So now let's move on to the user interface. So I have pretty mixed opinions here. There are some good things and there are some bad things. So firstly, I mean, this is going to be true for any Volca, because obviously they're very small. It's hard to fit a lot of knobs on the panel. And I think trying to go for FM synthesis on a tiny little device like that was a bit ambitious, because, you know, there's a lot of parameters that are all very important to FM synthesis. Getting really deep control over an FM synth engine is not very easy on this synth. Like, you do have access to almost all the parameters of the synth engine, but it's very menu divey, which might not be what you're looking for. However, on the panel, I think they've made pretty good choices about what you can control, because it allows you to control some parameters that noticeably affect your sound without you having to really have a good grasp on FM synthesis. They also added a randomization feature, so you can just press it and it randomizes the patch, but it's not completely random, it's based on the existing preset you have. And I think that's pretty cool because it allows people to not have to fully understand FM synthesis to come up with a new patch. And I think that's pretty cool because it allows people who don't fully understand FM synthesis to come up with new original patches that aren't just presets. Finally, there is a limit of 64 presets, which somehow that's an improvement. There were 32 in the previous one. That doesn't seem like a lot, like especially for FM synthesis where there's such a wide range of sounds you can make. I feel like they would have done better with a little bit more presets available, but still, it is an improvement. And then the final category I want to talk about is sound. I have completely positive opinions on the sound. I mean, from all the sound demos I've heard, it sounds really great. And FM synthesis produces really unique sounds, like however you do it. But I think having access to those really good, unique sounds in a tiny package is great. They've added a reverb effect on top of the existing chorus, which I think is pretty cool, and you get a little bit of control over just the level of the effects. And then finally, one of the biggest selling points is the fact that there are now 6 voices of polyphony within the synth. I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's an upgrade to the 3 that were there before, and I mean, it allows you to play pretty big chords and make better use of it. Like, it seems more realistic to actually use it in a more professional way, whatever that means. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good upgrade. Okay, so my overall opinions. There are some pretty significant problems with the MIDI implementation, and it's not very good for having deep control over an FM synth engine. However, it makes it really easy to get into FM and gives you access to portable, great FM sounds. Like, you could use a more user-friendly editor and then import the patches, and then you just have access to a portable set of FM patches wherever you go. And then also, obviously, it just gives you access to these great FM sounds at a very reasonable price point. So who is it for? I would say it's for people who are interested in live performing with FM sounds, but definitely not for people who want to go deep into an FM engine. And it might be good if you want to get into FM synthesis for the first time, in terms of giving you access to the sounds, but not so much in terms of learning about FM, at least not doing any real in-depth learning, like considering how difficult it is to actually get into the FM parameters. So, am I going to get it? I would say yes, probably eventually, because I'm interested in exploring FM, but more just so I can, explore some of the sounds. Like, I understand how it works enough that I'm happy with it. Like, that I'm happy with my understanding. I just would like to have access to some of these sounds in hardware. So, some kind of hardware FM synth is something I'd be interested in, and I think this is a pretty good option for someone like me. So yeah, I probably will be getting one eventually, sometime, whenever they're available in Australia. So that's it for my initial thoughts and impressions on the Volca FM2. Hopefully you found this video enjoyable and maybe informative. Thank you very much for watching. If you did find it enjoyable, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any comments, feedback or suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.